I used to hate reading, but after reading all of these books, I've been able to completely manifest a different life than what I was living before. And one of these books actually helped me make my first $10,000 in one single month, when the month before that, I was only making like $500 a month. Now, as you can see, I've read a lot of books about mindset, personal development, manifestation, and some of these books, they were just okay, but a lot of them completely changed my life. So not only do I want to share today my favorite books, but I want to share the ones that are actually worth reading. Now, how I'm going to do this is I'm going to share one book at a time. I'm going to go through a little bit about what the book is. I'm going to rate the book, and then I'm going to share who I think it's really good for, because I didn't read all of these in one sitting, and I want to say some of these books are better at different seasons in your life. And then finally, I'm also going to go through what results and what I've been able to manifest after reading some of these books, because if you already know, it's not just about reading and consuming, it's actually about implementing what you learn to see the real changes you can make inside of your life. Okay, let's get into it. Now, I don't want to make you guys wait, so I actually want to start with the book that helped me manifest $10,000 in one single month. And if you watched any of my other videos or you follow me on like Instagram, social media, most likely you have heard of this book, and most likely you've actually already picked it up and read it. And this book is A Happy Pocket Full of Money by David Gikandi. We are starting strong because this is the book that really helped me understand how money works. So first of all, I rate this like 11 out of 10. It's honestly the best book that you can pick up if you want to become truly financially abundant and you want to expand like your wealth consciousness. So this book, it's really good for those who want to understand how money works, and they also want to learn more about quantum physics. I will say, this book, it's a little bit of a hard read. So I actually got gifted this book, and when I first read it a few years ago, a lot of the concepts were really big and very abstract. So the way I highly recommend reading this book is reading it all through once, and then reading it again very slowly, underlining it, making some notes, and making some stars, because I will say, if you fully grasp and understand this book, you can genuinely make the jump like what I did. Because once again, my result after reading this book was making $500 a month. I was doing the exact same thing in my business back then. I was, helping clients build their brand on social media, and I was doing the exact same thing after reading this book. The main difference that I changed was how I was showing up, my mindset, my perception, the way that I was thinking, the energy that I was putting out. And lo and behold, the following month, I got a bunch of new clients, and I ended up manifesting $10,000 the following month. So I highly recommend grabbing this one if you have not read it yet. And also every single book that I'm going to mention in today's video, they're all linked in my Amazon storefront that you can find in the link in the description. Number 2, Ask and It's Given by Abraham Hicks. Now this is of course their teachings. Esther and Jerry Hicks is the ones that actually wrote this book. I rate this book a 9 out of 10. This is honestly, I want to say, it's like the holy grail of all the different ways that you can manifest. So the way this book is structured out is like the first 18 chapters. As you can see, it's a thick book. It is an easy read though. So I want to say the first 18 chapters, like the first half of the book, it talks about all of the simple and basic concepts that you need to understand about manifesting. And then the second half of the book are different processes and strategies of what you can specifically do to manifest a certain thing. So this book, it's really good for people that are like beginning their manifestation journey, or if you're already someone that manifests and you want to explore different ways of how you can manifest. This is a really good book. Now, I want to say my favorite part about this book was all of the different ways that you can manifest, because I think there was close to like 20 different ways. And that's like, when I say different ways, it's like, scripting, meditating, but it's not just that. There's ways in this book that I never even thought about, never even heard. And for me personally, my specific result that I got from this book was a strategy that I continue to use every single day. And that was strategy, or like process number 13, which is which thoughts feel better. And the entire concept of this specific strategy when it comes to manifestation is every single time you have a negative thought or you see something in your 3D world that does not match the desire that you want, you think of the thought and you focus and entertain the thought that instantly makes you feel better. It does not even matter what the thought is, you just want to feel better at all times. And now looking back after reading this book, that's something that I do every single day. And not only has it allowed me to, become my highest self and manifest things a lot faster, even specific things like, for an example, my husband, Andy, he's very busy with work sometimes. So if I'm trying to talk to him or get his attention and he forgets something that I told him, I used to make that mean something like bad about me or bad about a relationship. Like, oh, he doesn't listen to me, he doesn't pay attention. But now, since I learned this, which thoughts feel better, I'm going to put the label on, oh, he's just really busy. I know he still cares. Or like, I'll just tell him again, it's really not that big of a deal. So some of these strategies, honestly, not only are they really good for manifestation, but they're also really good when it comes to like identity transformation and grounding yourself to become your highest self. Book number 3, Don't Believe Everything You Think by Joseph Nugent. Hopefully I pronounced that correct. This is the most latest book that I've read. I think I read this like a month ago. But this book, honestly, it's such a simple book. Almost like everything that he talks about is common sense, but the way that he describes it is like so profound. So I rate this book like an 8.5 out of 10. This is the lowest. 8.5 isn't even that low, but it is the lowest rating in this video simply because it only focuses on the way that we think. So I highly recommend this for people who, spiral a lot, you overthink, you ruminate, you have a lot of negative thoughts, because this book really focuses on what might be blocking your manifestation. Because as you know, manifesting is all about aligning your way of thinking, your feeling, and your experiences to the desire that you want. So if you feel like a lot of the times your thoughts and yourself, like that voice inside of your mind, is getting in the way, this book is really, really good for you. Now, once again, it's a very simple, easy read. I think I read this in like maybe 2 days or something. But the result that I personally got from this book was, in one of the chapters, I can't remember what chapter it was, he talked about turning off your thinking. Now, the majority of the day, our thoughts are running wild. And a lot of the times we start to ruminate and focus on things that we don't want to happen because we allow ourselves to do that. So one thing that I start to do, and once again, I still do till this day after reading this book, is turning off my thinking when I don't need it and when I don't need to use it. So just yesterday, I was thinking about recording this video and I'm like, okay, I was doing dishes and my thoughts just started to focus on something random in my life. And I thought about this book and I remembered what he mentioned in this book. You don't always have to be entertaining your thinking. You can simply just turn it off and become super present with what you're doing. So that's what I did. When I was putting dishes away, I started to think and I'm like, wait, I don't even need to think. I don't even need to entertain it. Let me just be present and focus in getting the dishes done and starting to cook dinner. So that was a really big result for me because, once again, if you want to change your life and if you want to manifest, if you're getting drowned in your own thinking, and once again you start to believe every single thing that you think, this is a book that I highly recommend picking up. And honestly, he also has some other books that I've been reading that maybe I'll mention in like another video. But yeah, this book, 8.5 out of 10, and simply because it only focuses on one specific thing, but it's a very important thing if you want to change your life. Next book is The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy. I rate this a 9 out of 10. This is honestly the best book when it comes to understanding how your subconscious mind works and what to do to actually reprogram it from a deep-rooted level. So I actually highly recommend this for people if you've tried to manifest, you've tried to change your life, but every single time you do it, you always revert back to your old self, your old beliefs, your old thought patterns. this book does a really good job in, once again, breaking down for you to understand what your subconscious mind even is, but also the different ways that you can alter and rewire your subconscious mind to like manifest love, to manifest money, to manifest marriage. And I think there's actually, yeah, for this specific copy at the end of the book, there's a whole section on how to attract money using your subconscious mind. Now, I'll be honest, I've only read this book once because, as you can see, it's a very thick book. But I remember after reading this book, I felt so much more emotionally and intellectually mature when it comes to like my identity and my personality. Because you know how when you're trying to change your life and when you're trying to manifest, you kind of have that like anxious and heavy feeling in your body of like, oh, is it gonna work? Is it gonna happen? This feels different, doesn't feel like myself. After applying what I learned in this specific book, I feel so calm, so confident, and so content as I continue to grow into the next level version of me. So once again, if you feel like a lot of the reasons why you can't change is because you're so like tied to your old self, your old beliefs, old experiences, trauma, consistent habits that you cannot break, highly recommend grabbing this book. Now, this next book is honestly like an OG book when it comes to manifestation and identity transformation work, and it is Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Joe Dispenza. So anybody who loves Joe Dispenza, if you have not read this book, you need to. I feel like I've read this book literally dozens of times. It focuses on basically what the title says, getting rid of your old self, your old personality, your habits, and creating a completely new version of you. I rate this a 10 out of 10. And honestly, I recommend this for people who want to learn about quantum physics, neuroscience, and manifestation, and how all of those work together to actually changing your life and becoming a new person. Because as you can see, I'm rereading this book. After learning a lot about neuroscience and rereading this, I actually understand and grasp the concepts even more, because I think the first time I read this book, this was, almost like 5 years ago. And back then, I didn't really know much about the brain and what causes change. And not just change, but like long-term change. So once again, highly recommend this. Honestly, like I recommend this book for everybody because it is one of those staple books for you to really understand how you work in terms of changing your life with the external world. Now, my result of this book was the book that really taught me how to meditate correctly, because I forgot to mention this book, it's actually structured into 3 sections. I want to say the first section is all about kind of quantum physics. The second section is more about the brain and neuroscience. And then the last section is the meditative process. So this was, I remember now when I first read this book, I learned how to actually induce myself into a meditation. And meditation, as you know, has completely changed my life. If I didn't learn how to meditate, I wouldn't be living the life that I am living today. So if you don't know how to meditate, you're new to it, you feel like you can't get yourself in the actual meditative process, read this book. Now, I will say, because people have asked me, do you actually do the guided Joe Dispenza meditations that are like hours long? Short answer is no, I don't. And simply because I have just found they're just too long for me and I don't have hours in a day to do it. I personally meditate for like 20 minutes a day, but I do use some of the practices that he does mention at the end of this book to once again get myself into that deep meditative state where my subconscious mind is open to actually rewire and change. Last but not least, this book is for my ladies, especially for you if you want to be in like your wealthy boss babe era, and it is Rich AF by Amanda Frances. Now, I rate this book like a 8.75 out of 10. Now, the reason why I don't rate this like a 9 or like a 10 out of 10 is simply because all of the concepts on here, they're very simple and easy to understand, but she doesn't really go in depth of why the concepts work, which is probably why I liked all the other books a little bit more. But honestly, I really love this book because she shares her own story, and at the end of every single chapter, there are homework items. So This is honestly for the person who feels like she needs to take a lot of like, specific action. You really want to learn how to spend your money, how to receive money, how to keep your money, how to multiply money. You want to be in that like identity and build a personality where you feel really safe with money. Like if you have a really poor relationship with money and you want to do specific actions to enhance that, this is the book for you. Now, I will say I actually did get a really good result after reading this book because once again, I did do all of the action items and the homework at the end of every single chapter. And I think I read this like 3 years ago when I was at the peak of my like business career when it came to helping people on social media build their brand. And I did build so much confidence around my relationship with money, and I did make a lot more money in my business. This is one of those books that you probably just read once. I haven't felt the need to pick it back up again. But once again, if you feel like you want to be in like your wealthy boss babe era, you want to make a lot more money, and you really need help with like the specific actions of what to do, I would highly recommend grabbing this book. So these are all the books that I highly recommend are worth reading and all the books that really did make such a big impact in my life. So once again, all of them are linked in my Amazon storefront in the link in the description. If you want me to do a part 2 of other books that I have read when it comes to manifestation, mindset, personal development, let me know below. So that's all I have for today. If you haven't watched this video, make sure to watch it next. And until next time, make sure that you stay unforgettable.